friends. Today we're going to talk about interview questions as you are applying to different kinds of agencies. If you decide that you want to work with an agency, these are going to be some of the questions they ask. Now, I do always recommend scatterbomb your resume. You are a commodity. You are a very valuable asset, and you have product knowledge. You are able to process information, which they don't teach outside of the insurance industry. So one of the questions that I have found that was asked the most, why do you think you're good for the position? What makes you good for this position? Now, I'm going to give you a do and a don't. The do is be confident. Show them that you worked for this, that you know what you want. Be confident in yourself. Either you have passed the exam or you are pursuing the exam, or you wouldn't be here. So when they ask you, why would you be good for the position? Break it down for yourself. Do a little pumping up and be confident with you. What are you good at? Did you drive an ice cream truck? Do you like people? Did you spend time processing paperwork? Have you utilized your resources? Are you a master of navigating screens? Whatever it is that you think would apply specifically to insurance, and it is vast. Insurance means you're able to build rapport. You're able to remember things. Maybe you have a phenomenal memory. Maybe you're good at math or good at taking notes. Any one of those things, those finer points, and I'm going to make a note to write those out for you. Any one of those items is going to be a good reason for you to want to be in insurance. You can talk about maybe why you're passionate about it. I want to be a superhero for indemnification. If somebody's house burns down, I want to make sure they're protected adequately. So why would you be good? That's the do. Here's my don't. Don't be arrogant. Do not think your confidence is out of this world, because the truth is there is a difference between confidence and arrogance. You need to find the fine line. You need to be confident enough to let them know you are of value and you know it. But if you are arrogant in this way, I was at an interview, third interview, sitting in front of multiple people, and they asked, why do you think you're perfect for this job? Now, I had just spent 45 minutes explaining to them why I think, and that was the third time I had done that. So simply put, I said, because I am the one. I am the one. I am the one. However, that did not go over very well, and I was offered a lesser position, not an independent agent, not a field agent. I was offered the service rep position because of my arrogance. So I would definitely say you're due, be confident, do not be arrogant, and find your middle ground. Question number 2, what skill sets would you have as a good agent? This is also going to couple with the list you may have created for your confidence. What skill sets do you have? Maybe you're a master wizard online. You can head straight to the county assessor's office and find out who owns a property. That's a little bit stalking sometimes, but not in the insurance industry. You can totally look up your friend's address and find out, do they own or rent? You can spend your time asking them that, or maybe you're a wizard. So kind of cool stuff there. What kind of skill sets do you have? Next, have you ever been in a role where you had to meet sales goals? And if so, how? Have you ever had to sell anything? Like anything? Now, I was in jewelry. I had to sell lots of things. $760,000 in jewelry my first year. They gave me a pin and a $1 raise. That wasn't worth it to me. And that's when I sat down with Melissa, the insurance exam queen, and said, what else can we do? So tell me about a time where you had to meet sales goals. Now, if you've never been in a position where you had to meet a sales goal, that's okay. Maybe you worked at Jack in the Box. Maybe you had a part-time job at Ross. Maybe you were selling shoes. It doesn't matter. At some point in your life, you were selling something. So find it, because they will ask you. Tell me about a time you had a conflict at work. Now, this is kind of a broad interview question, and it goes for most industries. The reason why it is specific and important in the insurance industry is because you are going to have to battle multiple conflicts. Probably every day there are going to be conflicts at work. That doesn't mean with the people you're working with necessarily. It might be the policyholders, right? But there are consistent conflicts. Was a policy started on time? Was it canceled on time? If not, why not? So conflict at work is a very important thing, to be able to show that you can overcome conflicts and that you will not be overwhelmed by them. Another question, how do you feel about cold calling? This did come up in every single interview that I attended. How do you feel about cold calling? And the reason for that is because it is an agency expectation. If you're over at the corporate, you're just answering inbound calls, piece of cake. Then we're going to talk about overcoming objections. But when you are at an agent's office, maybe you don't have a book of business yet and you have to cold call. Maybe you are at an agent's office and they have a book of business, but then you're looking at monoline policies. Maybe they only have homeowners. Guess where the money is? Guess where the money is? You're going to want to pick up that phone and say, Mr. Mrs. Customer, I see that you have been with us for 5 solid years, and I am calling to say thank you. Before we come up for renewal, my job here is to make sure you're getting a smoking deal. I'm going to look out for every discount and program that I see that you're eligible for. You do qualify for that multi-line discount. What are we driving? So even though you may already have access to that person in a active book of business, that doesn't mean they've ever been offered auto. Maybe they have a golf cart. Here in Arizona, golf carts are like dime a dozen. But maybe they have a boat. I just rode a boat the other day. I live in Arizona and we are landlocked. Guess who rode a boat the other day? There was a gentleman sent over, the recommendation was from, the referral was from a lien holder that I had met actually at an event the month before. Customer calls in, I got the email from the lien holder, right? And they said, we will be blah, blah, blah. Please contact the customer. However, the customer ended up calling me anyway. I collected all the information, got confirmation, and provided a quote. By the time we were done, I'm writing 3 cars. I mean, it was just, so technically that wasn't a cold call, but that would have been a cold contact. So a beautiful example, anytime you've not met someone before, during your interview or your interaction, talk about that with your hiring manager. Next is, and I got this every single time, do you know any real estate agents, car dealers, or lenders? Now, why would we care about that? In the insurance industry, your job is to protect whatever somebody spent money on, to protect their investment, their home, their car, whatever they took a loan for, to protect. So of course you want to meet those people. Now, if your answer is no, I don't know any, that's fine, but have a backup answer for, this is how I'm planning to meet them. This is how I am going to spend my time at events. This is how I am going to market myself on social media, online. So have a formulated breakdown of if you do not have the answer and if you do not have the experience, have something already prepped in your mind of your plan to do so, and then be grateful for whatever they're going to teach you. And you can say that. I know you have a system here. I know you have something broken down and you want to teach me. I'm open ears. So when it comes to interview questions, that's my block of what are they going to ask you. So be prepared, and I'll make sure that you get the page in the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to keep it playing. I'm not even going to try. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, good. My interview had a lot about cross-functional teams. Everything that you had mentioned about sales goals, about failing, like, hey, what was the time you didn't meet a sales goal? How'd you recover?
Yeah.
Community engagement. And one thing that you and I talked about before, right before my interview, I hadn't even thought to take my resume. They already had it. I thought, like, it didn't even, but you mentioned it and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And so I took a copy, I took a bunch of copies, and that way I had one too, so I could refer.
Yeah.
And they loved it, loved it.
I am so proud of you. Because you
It
know
was
how they
big.
get your resume? They get your resume here. They get your resume on
Yeah,
the desktop. They don't print that out. So when you're sitting in the interview, they just remember I've got a scheduled appointment at 3. They don't know who they're meeting with, really, maybe, maybe they don't, but having that having that just says that you're thinking forward. Like if you don't need it, you don't need it, but
right, right.
yeah.
And they were both surprised, like, "Oh, you have your resume?" But they're super grateful, and they went straight to it. "Tell me about this. Tell me about this." I was like, I would have not had that jumping off point had I not had my resume with me.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well,
Mary,
and
can I ask a
you,
quick question?
of course.
Well, I went to an office that was kind of in an outlet mall that's been somewhat abandoned. There's a few stores, but there was an office by XYZ company, and
Okay.
there were two gals in there, one that I guess owned the space, and it had a major logo on it, and a girl with a headset like you had last time answering phone calls. But when I walked in, Mary, there were baby gates and there were two Yorkshire Terriers in the office.
Mhm.
And I did the interview, and I was grateful that I hadn't passed anything at that point, because I thought to myself, I mean, it made me more respectful of my own dogs to be put away when you're doing these calls. So
Mhm.
if you are an independent and you have pets around, I just can't imagine how if in your home is kind of different. I may have to mute this. I'm sorry.
But no, it's fine.
Goodness, I got in the office. What do you do if you're not so stop? If you're not so comfortable listening to dogs bark all day, if you're at someone's office. But I didn't say anything because he was the owner of the office. So I just thought that might not be a place for me.
And if you felt like that, you're right. It's not. You're right. 100%. You have to be comfortable in your environment, because here's the thing. When you are going to be operating on such a high functioning level. You are going to be receiving information either by phone, text, email. You are going to have to recall information, which means you have to make good notes. You're going to have to make phone calls. Dogs barking in the background may not be compatible, depending. So when I was working from home, I had Puppy here. I didn't like it when he barked. I just hit the mute button and I would let him out, and it was no big deal. Um,
Right.
at the brokerage I'm at now, they do bring their puppies every day. I love it. They love me. It's cool. But their
Oh,
dogs don't barkity bark. So
right.
I couldn't imagine being on a call and being interrupted and not being able. It's not my dog. It's like trying to get another person's baby to stop crying. You don't do it. You don't do it
So
unless
yeah,
you're
and
married, but
I didn't say anything, but Mary, I sent a really nice thank you email because it was
good.
one of the first interviews that I went to. And I just said, I'd be willing to talk about a remote 30-hour position until I finish my test.
Yeah.
I'd love to help you out. Thank you for guiding me along my process. But
Mhm.
I didn't want them to waste their time to engage me further or engage them, because I just didn't think it was the right office environment for me. So
Okay.
I would recommend that if people, I don't know, for me, I want to know the chemistry in the office before I actually work there.
That is so smart. And this is exactly why I say scatter bomb your resume, scatter bomb it, throw it out there, let them contact you, let them email you, let you be overwhelmed with offers. Scatter bomb it,
Okay.
go shopping. Because again,
Okay.
you are a commodity. You are something, not everybody has this, and it's
Okay.
needed. It's needed. So take your time. Make sure it's right for you. If you start somewhere and it's not compatible, don't be
Right.
shy.
Okay, and then after the interview phase, is it like formal? Is it like other positions where they offer you a contract in writing? Did the other young ladies and men have writing contracts? And if so, what was in it? Salary, hours, place, time? What was in that?
I love where you're going with this. So
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. They are going to give you an official offering, a contract You will be required to sign. They're going to break down what your pay structure looks like, what commission structure looks like, the hours they expect out of you. One thing you will also sign, it's a non-compete. It's called a non-compete. You cannot sell outside of these parameters. So for example, if you're working for Allstate and you sign a non-compete, you are not selling Progressive. You will not be talking to Lemonade. You will not be, you know what I'm saying? So if they say you are only PNC, then that's all you're doing. You're not doing life. When I was working at the corporate level, I wasn't even allowed to get life licensed. There were some people that had real estate licenses and they had, you know what I mean? They had to like drop licenses. It's a non-compete. So in the insurance industry, they want to make sure you're not just selling their product and then sneaking behind closed doors and selling more. They want you just selling for them. So that is also going to be different than captive and non-captive. So
Okay.
let's break that down really quick. Captive is actually where you are going to sell for one company, one product, one item, one color of the rainbow. Non-captive, and think corporate, think call centers, think Allstate is great. Now they have subsections and there's a lot of details there. Non-captive is going to be you're selling all the colors of the rainbow. You can sell home, auto, life, health, whatever it may be, multiple companies, a dozen different life insurance companies. That's non-captive. And then there's full-blown, totally independent. You're just on your own. You're only signing up the companies that you want. Now, I recommend if you're going to do that, do research on your companies. How long have they been in business? How are their claims paying out? Right? What are their stats? So if you are going independent and you want to sign up your own companies, that's really high level. I recommend maybe start somewhere first, just to get your feet wet, just to kind of get a good feel. Do as you're doing and join different groups. Make sure you're networking because again, insurance, you don't even have to retire from insurance. You can set it up so that you create residuals and all you do is just service and say hello.
Yeah, there was this one company that I went to. A gentleman owns 3 offices of company A. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And he talked to me on the phone for a good 25 minutes. And I told him, I am central to it's probably the largest county in Texas, and it's growing. So it's subsidiaries of 3 towns. So if you tell me you're in Tempe, Scottsdale, Gilbert, okay, so it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I would be in the center of that. I went to the office after I finished because I had to just do something in that town. And I said, well, thank you so much for kind of teaching me along. I didn't know what way to go. I just wanted to come by and say hi and introduce myself. And so I dropped in, but I did call first and ask if it was okay. Well, when I came in to just say thank you and hi, how are you? She said, well, right now we're working on May renewals. And she had this big office, Mary, and she was all by herself. So, I mean, it kind of looks to me like there, and you're going to laugh at me, but I would have dressed decent. I had a dress on and I go in and she's got an AC/DC t-shirt on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is just fine. But even at home, if you're going to be at someone's office, I think you should look presentable. But is that not the case? Or tell me how these ladies dress when they go to an interview. I mean, is it business casual? A lot has changed since COVID.
Honest, I say, go in for an interview like you want the job. Go in for the interview like you've already got it, like this is your workspace, like you are professional. Go into the interview like they're going to give you a microphone because they are.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. Go get your hair done, go get your nails done. You need to feel confident about you. If you're going in pajamas, and I know I'm lowering it, but if you're going in pajamas, your confidence isn't good. So I say, shoot, curl your hair, put on some rouge, and because it doesn't matter what they're doing, it's what you're wanting.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So there is an initial period of the contract and a non-compete. What is the difference between company A and then another company reaching out on ZipRecruiter or Indeed or whatever, and they're called THI Insurance? Does it matter? Does that mean that they'll be working with, if you go to the THI Insurance, are you going to be selling policies from every single company? Because I have not gone there yet. I just noticed that it's not company A anymore.
So
There are others.
insurance companies get absorbed by other companies constantly, right?
Okay.
I mean, we see, like, for example, we're going to call them LM, but you know who I'm talking about.
Right.
LM has umbrella, all kinds of little companies. There are companies that start up and then they get absorbed or they sell out or whatever. Companies come and go all the time. Whether your particular agency is going to offer, again, one color of the rainbow or iridescent, it's going to depend on the agency. The brokerage that I'm at right now, they just kicked one company out of their whole process. They hit delete. And the reason why, and I'm not going to expose any particular company, but the reason why they did that is because that particular company raised everybody's rates, right? Everybody's rates. So it comes down to the quality. You don't want to carry everybody. You don't want to carry every company, and you don't want to carry every policyholder. What you want to be is high quality.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So let's pop back over to the value of the license. So once you're licensed, even if you're hired on at a place, let's say it's entry level, even if you're hired on at a place, your wage can always be renegotiated. Absolutely, most certainly renegotiated. If you are the owner of the agency, guess what? You can renegotiate yours by sending out some emails. Hello, friends, it's April. No fooling. We're looking into your umbrella policy. You got 250, 500. Guess what? I'm inviting you to join me. Let's get your umbrella. You already qualify. So if you own your agency, go for it. You have the power to create more income. You are not capped. If you are entering into an agency and you are dependent upon somebody else cutting your checks, do not be shy. Continue to grow, continue to increase your value so that at the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 1 year, whatever, when you sit down, you can say, how am I doing? Have I earned more income? They might come back at you and say, April's coming up. No fooling. You send those emails. So go for it. If you think like an owner, then you don't have to go begging for a raise. You can create that on your own. But I do want to communicate, if you are working under an agent, do not feel like you are capped, because you're not. Wages can be renegotiated at any moment. They certainly can. There's no reason why not. If you're at a corporate office, that's a little bit harder to renegotiate your income. You can't they have so many levels between you and HR. You can't just walk up to your supervisor and be like, you know what? I sold 85 policies last month. I'm a rock star. I need more money. The supervisor at corporate is not going to play ball. If you are at an agency, though, they might play ball. Actually, at the brokerage, they told me, you do X, we'll give you X. And I was like, X I will do then. Right? I mean, I'm okay with that. But I've also got a basketball hoop in the corner for every time I sell a policy. So I'm at a really great place, and I'm unlimited. I'm not capped. They let me do as I want, but it's because I went shopping. It's truly because I went shopping. Yeah. Okay, so let's pop back over to the pay. Actually, let's not even leave the pay. So 1, you have the opportunity for base pay. 2, we all know that we have the opportunity for commissions. If you are in the right space, they will give you the opportunity for the cross sell. So remember, we might have a home, we might have an auto, you're going for the boat, the motor home. Next, you may be able to negotiate renewals, residuals. If you are the agent, you're going to get that anyway. But for the people working for you, if they are doing a great job, you might want to offer residuals. So if they cross sell out of your book of business or you cross sold out of their book of business, you might not have access to those. And they might say, that was my book, thanks for cross selling, but residuals is not on the table. However, if you're bringing in your own friends and family, that's negotiable. When my cousin renews, do I get a bonus again? Because that's going to tell me how many more cousins I'm going to bring. That's important. And I'm very honest where I'm at, and I recommend that you do the same without getting fired, because remember, difference between confidence and arrogance. I'm finding my middle ground. I was self-employed for a very long time. I worked for myself for a very long time. So having to prove myself to others was kind of a difficult thing for me, but a little bit off topic. The other thing that you can do is keep your eyes out for bonus. I love bonuses. So for example, my very first month over at the brokerage, they said, you sell 10 policies, we'll bonus you. What was my goal? 20.
All 10.
I mean, I want double the bonus. So it's those sorts of things, those little carrots. If you're at the agency and your agent is offering you carrots, go for them, because that means there's a garden. If you are the agent, make sure to grow your garden by offering carrots. Super important stuff. So whether you are at entry level or you are at high level, it really doesn't matter. It just works the same way, but opposite. So good stuff there. I wanted to review the kinds of systems you might be using. So one thing that I have been hearing, reading, and seeing a lot is people are like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed by the systems, navigating multiple screens, having boxes open all over the place. It's like garbage on your screen. First things first, when you go to open up your screens and you're trying to sort out where to start, let's say we're getting a call. Let's say it's just a cold call coming in, somebody off the street, they saw an ad on Google, whatever, it doesn't matter, but somebody's calling in. First thing I always do is open up my profile system. This can be called a couple of things. It can be called PL Rating, which is huge. They're called Easy Links. I can go on and on. There are so many. But the point is, you're going to have a profile system. This is your mainframe, your database for storing every policyholder's information. They're all going to have their own little file, name, address, date of birth, what kind of policies they have, how much they're paying. So whenever you're communicating with a customer, you want to make sure you're able to recall anything you might have written. And you're going to want to keep their information secure in these profile systems. So as you open them, ask your customer, they're going to tell you right away because they don't realize. Hey, I'm calling in today because I need to add a boat. I need to add a car. I need to adjust this. Perfect. Can I just get your first and last name? You're going to pop up the system. They're going to confirm their email. Why do you want them to confirm their email? One, because you're going to be sending them something, either a deck page, a new policy document, new ID cards for what we're servicing, the offer for April showers, umbrellas, right? If you see their 250, 500, you make yourself a little note right there in that taskbar, link it right there to their profile, right? You can set up a delayed email so that you make sure it goes out on April 1st, no fooling. So first thing you're going to do is make sure that you have access to their profile. I would recommend spend a lot of time in there navigating. Make your own profile. Sooner or later, you're going to quote yourself anyway, because now you're working for yourself. You certainly want to. You wouldn't have a soap factory and buy soap somewhere else, right? So same way in insurance, you're going to want to quote yourself. So create your profile so you can become familiar in navigating those systems, because you're going to be using those with every single person you interact with multiple times a day. So the more familiar you become with those systems, the more efficient you're going to be.
Can we stop for a second and talk, maybe backtrack one topic?
Of course.
So, I've looked on, to try to interview and get a good idea of who you are or in this industry, whether you're a newbie or maybe you've had some solid managerial experience, but it's not specific to this field.
Mhm.
Well, for example, I'm looking at median salaries for an insurance agent, just P&C, and some max out at 55,000 in Texas, and I don't even know if it's true. I looked in Arizona and they're saying you could make possibly up to $94,000 a year. Is that a joke or is that for real?
Here's what's real. The spectrum. That's what's real.
Okay,
So when I was when I was interviewing, it was anywhere between 35 and 55 to start, depending.
okay,
35 and 55. There was an agency that was literally offering timeshares. There are agents' offices that are like, we'll give you 5% or we'll give you 50%. It is so vast. There are so many moving parts when it comes to income. I pulled up ZipRecruiter 2 weeks ago and I actually posted it in the group. Anywhere between 35 and 89, they are reporting 89 is the average high income. That's for the people who really pursue it. Now, keep in mind, people sitting at 35,000, they got hired on, they're answering phone calls, they might write a policy. But now we are talking about, you want to be the high average? Well, you're already on the right track to doing that. If you want to be the high average, it is nothing more than being a people person, a personal shopper, taking good notes and offering. That's it. That's it. But a lot of people, they can't cold call. A lot of people don't know how to put together an email. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they're not teaching this. And it's
Okay,
not
well,
natural.
yeah. Well, Mary, I've had another company because I don't know why in my college graduate years, I was made to write a lot, like a lot. So for example, I might have a class that was 15, weeks in a semester that they're like, you have to write goals and objectives. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, but you have to do that 100 times. So I'm a good writer. So I've had a company look over my resume and I'm afraid to even acknowledge back because I don't know what they want yet. But they're like, have you ever considered being an underwriter for us? Have you ever heard that? Writing policy without actually selling it? That just seems
Wait,
bizarre.
So I love like cartoon images. I'm a very visual person.
Right.
They told you would be a great underwriter. This is what this tells me. Okay.
Right.
Because insurance industry, it's a village. It is legit a village. You got Papa Smurf, you got Mama Smurf, right? It's a village.
Okay.
So entry level, you got people answering the phones. You got your salespeople. We get to write those policies. Guess what happens once it's done being written? It goes to the underwriter. Take out that microscope. You're making sure it is written correctly. You are modifying and editing the policy.
Okay.
Let's say we wrote a home from 1934, Shirley Temple era. Okay. Let's say we wrote a home policy. Your job is my job as the salesperson is to find out when was their roof replaced, because I am not insuring. Our company does not want a roof from 1934. They don't
No.
want a roof from 1984. And depending on the roof, they might not want a roof from 2004. So your job in the underwriting department is going to be saying, please send me the documents of the updated roof. I would like to know, was that done by a licensed contractor or was that your cousin, Jerry? You know what I'm saying? So your job as an underwriter, like you are the ultimate authority on whether or not that policy will be processed the way I wrote it. You're my backup, is what I'm saying. That's a solid job, and there's a lot of money there. And you don't have to deal with a lot of customers.
Right. But
So
that
if
would mean
that's your
you would have
jam.
to, I would feel like that's a big responsibility. Not only do you have to write, but you have to write quickly and you have to write accurately, right?
Quickly, I would say you can throw that out because most companies prefer accuracy to speed. And that's pretty standard across the industry. So
Yeah.
where in a call center, you're being monitored, how long is your call, what's your hold time looking like, how many times, blah, blah, blah. In the
Right.
underwriting department, it's going to be a little bit different because they genuinely care more about accuracy, more about efficiency than they do about speed. And that's standard across the industry. But I think you're
So,
right. Whoever told you that, high fives and fist bumps, because
yes,
you
that
do have those skill sets.
I'll go back to that one. I've been making an Excel spreadsheet, not to bother them, but to go back after so many days on my prospect list to keep a date and time and like a registry of who did I speak with? Because it's getting to be confusing for me.
Spreadsheets are, I love resources. In the
Right.
playbook, I've got a whole thing about resources because that's the other thing. How do you stay organized with 1,000 policyholders? How do you
Right.
remember Jennifer A from Jennifer B and who has the puppy and who has the baby? How do you do that? Because the difference between a receptionist and a good agent is going to be the details. It's going to be those things. So absolutely, spreadsheets, OneNote, even, I don't know, you know what I mean. It's in the playbook, but yeah, you want to make sure that you're utilizing your resources. And actually, one of the resources that I do like to talk about is the county assessor's office. I know that we touched on it. While you're going through, if you just have a little tab already open, so tab 1, you're going to have the profile, right? You want to know who you're talking to, what we're looking at, how to service, how to sell. Step 2 is things like the county assessor office. Who owns it? How long have they owned it? It saves you time from asking that person. So it's all about time management because now you're working for yourself. Time is money. Every minute you could be making the next step forward. So you don't want to waste your time with Sally over here saying, well, how long have you lived there? Because truth is you can go click, click, there it is. Right? I mean, if you can multitask that way. Another one is going to be Zillow, Redfin, those sorts of things. You'll be able to find out how big is the house? When was it last sold? How many bathrooms are we looking at? Are there solar panels? Sometimes it'll show you when the roof was replaced. So that's really good stuff. PBRI tools, peril-based risk inquiry. I don't know why I always forget inquiry. So these are going to tell you last time there were claims, loss assessments, clue reports. When was the last time? Was there a fire in the kitchen? Was there a hailstorm? Was there a claim? So you're going to want to know that if you're writing a homeowner's policy, because that's going to matter over in underwriting. For auto policies, you're going to see that in your motor vehicle report. It's your MVR, right? So you want to see last time they got a ticket. Who was at fault for that accident, right? Did a tree fall on their car? When was the last time their windshield was replaced? All of these things are going to be factors in their premium, in their rate. Now, a lot of policyholders, they're only caring about the dollar, right? They only care about how much they're paying per month. However, all of these variables are what is created to present the premium to the customer. So being able to know and navigate these systems quickly and efficiently, all while you're talking to somebody, it's a lot, but it's practice. Now I'm in a place, and that's where I started. Now I'm in a place where I can communicate via email, and you're going to be I can't wait to share this. My cousin sent me a referral, a friend of a friend. Okay, somebody I don't even know, different state, don't even know, sends me this referral. The girl contacts me, doesn't even say, I know your cousin. She just contacts me out of the blue via email. So I set up her profile and then I ask her, not by phone, but by email, how do you prefer to communicate? How are you with text? Because I'm a texting queen. I love text, fast, friendly, efficient. She says, I love text too. So 147 text messages later, I'm writing a $7,300 policy. It was her, 3 cars, the house, and then I got her parents, all via text. So it doesn't matter how you like to communicate, it's how they like to communicate. Meet your customer on their level. And if you're not good at it, get good. Get good, because if there's one, there's 10. And if they're good at it, they have cousins too. And I told her if I did, she goes, I love this. This was the easiest thing, Mary. You made it so easy. And I said, if I did a good job for you, please do not be shy on sharing who I am. So I can't wait for next week. So stuff like that, just being able to navigate your system so that you're able, knowing what you have available at your fingertips. If you are at a company that's like, no, you're not allowed to text like that. Well, first, you should probably reassess. And second, Follow the rules. Actually, you don't want to get fired for being overzealous. One thing I do like to mention, Control F. You probably already know this. Control F. F for friend. Control F is your best friend. If you are on a website and you're trying to hunt something down, Control F, type roof. It will give you everything on that page. So Control F is your best friend. Replacement cost estimators. So a great example, I love Traveler's website because you can literally jump right into the Traveler's website. On the very first page, you can see replacement cost estimator. Why would I want that? Somebody says, hey, Mary, email, text, I don't care how they're talking. I'm just used to this. Somebody says, hey, Mary, I'm buying a home at $500,000. Can you write that up for me? I would love to write that up for you, but I'm not going to necessarily write that dwelling coverage A at 500,000. And the reason why is just because they're selling it at 500,000 doesn't mean that if it goes up in smoke, that's what it would cost to rebuild. So I don't want to charge my policyholder the premium for 500,000. What I want to do is go to the replacement cost estimator and say, we have this many square feet. It is currently, the rate is currently, right now, we are quoting at $165 a square foot plus $10,000 per garage. So if there's a 2-car garage, it's 20,000. A 4-car garage would be 40,000. So I'm going to take their square footage, I'm going to multiply it by 165, and then I'm going to add their garage. That is our replacement cost. If it doesn't line up with what I see in my system, I need to reassess, or I need to go back and look at the system. Are they saying that we have bay windows when we don't? Are there bay windows I am not aware of? So when I'm writing the policy, the proof is in the details, right? So we got to make sure that we're there. Flood. Are they in a flood zone? You're going to want to know that. How far are they from the coastline? Now here in Arizona, we don't really worry about that so much. But in some states, you might be licensed in 8 states. Who knows? So being able to know where those resources are, having quick tabs on your desktop, quick and easy access. Again, time is money. And we already talked about the NIPR. That's just licensing, just keeping up to date with your stuff. Always, 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 when you are quoting through your profile system, let's say EasyLinks, and it gives you your list. These are all, here's your buffet, your list of companies that you're going to be able to offer from, your a la carte, so to speak. You're going to want to make sure, let's say that you decide it's going to be company B. They're giving you the best premium and their claims history is beautiful, right? So they're giving you the best premium on auto. They're giving you the best premium on home. You want to create a package. So you send everything over to system A. You get into system A and all of a sudden you find out they've got the wrong year, make, and model in there. I say always, always, always double check yourself. Because once you leave the profile system, some of these other guys, these carriers, they run in the background and they don't have accurate information. Maybe that car was sold 3 years ago, but it's still showing up. There's still a VIN number there. Maybe you're in a Safeco system and all of a sudden you've got grandma, grandpa, ex-cousins, ex-whatevers, and you've got people listed that aren't even drivers in the household. You might have to go back to your policyholder and say, hey, is your kid still living with you? But for the most part, you want to make sure it is all about accuracy, that you are double checking yourself and that you are making sure you're not just overlooking square footage, right? You're not just overlooking bay windows. So not everything translates from the profile system. They want it to, but over to the company's resources. So I always like to.
Mary, can I ask a question, or are you on a roll here?
I was, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's another for real. There are a couple of different things that I don't understand about ownership and types of ownership as you're talking about policies. So I feel like maybe there is an owner of company XYZ and they're published with their face and where they are. So like a small company that may be in Phoenix, it'll say company A, but then the person that calls you is from Tempe. Okay, just as an
Okay.
example.
Yeah.
So maybe they're hooked up with the owner somehow, but they work out of their house. So you get the company XYZ from Phoenix, and that's who your policy is with. But the person that you're talking with is kind of like in an office team, and you never see the owner who's on your picture that comes up on your app when you're paying your premium. How does that work? Do they just have people that just work multiple people underneath them, but yet they get the credit for their work? Does that make sense?
Have you ever, hang on, I've got a smart answer.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Jack in the Box?
Yes.
Have you ever met Dave?
No. That's it.
It happens all the time. It
Okay.
happens all the time because, think of those big corporate offices. They may have started out with just a couple of agents here or there. And I can tell you for a fact, 100 years ago, they were just a couple of agents here and there. However, in order to service policies, you need people, you need manpower to service those policies. Well, and as
Okay.
a matter of fact, if they're already servicing the policy, they must be licensed or you can't add a vehicle. It's literally writing. Well, by servicing that policy. So when I say, have we ever met Dave? I've never met Jake from State Farm.
Right.
Right. So it's going to be the same way. It's your army. There might be the face, the picture, the business card, the guy, the advertisement, but it's his agency. He built his standards. He is working with the company he wants to work with, and he's the educated guy to oversee everything. So you might not see him. He might be on vacation in Maui.
Gotcha. Okay. But then,
Phenomenal question. Yeah.
well, then the way I also see it is that you're very good. And I've worked in a call center before too with financial aid students in a company that was redoing their computer system. So the media got a hold of the delay in the financial aid going to the students. And it wasn't so much that they were holding money. It was a federal program. You can't hold people's money.
Right.
So for an example, the college that I was working for did emergency management and hired on a bunch of call center workers to handle the bad publicity that was going on until they could fix their systems. Well, we had to answer a lot of calls with a repetitive script, very similar to kind of what you're doing, and saying, who are you? What is it? The who, what, when, where, whys of the call.
Yep.
Just real quickly, and then making good notes and say, we're going to get back to you. This is a 13-week project. You will see a turnaround. But here's the key piece of takeaway. Do you have a bank account so we can help you with your aid and get you, your money? No, I don't. I don't have a bank account. They're young students. They don't know how things work. So I kind of see you as the spoke on the wheels, if that makes a good analogy, of getting them their ultimate goal of having insurance. So it does have to be somewhat scripted. Is that right?
I mean, that's another variable. Insurance, that's the thing, is insurance is iridescent. It
Okay.
is iridescent. So some places they're going to require a script. And the only reason they would require a script is because somebody messed up somewhere.
Okay.
Right. So some places are going to say it must be scripted. You must read directly word for word verbatim. Some places are going to say you can be yourself. However, you better hit these word tracks. This call may be monitored and or recorded. Right.
Okay.
Right. So state of Texas is really big on their word tracks, right? Anytime that we run a consumer report, there may be a monitored and recording word track there. Or you might be in a position where you're allowed to say what you want, which is why I say go shopping. Because if I'm not allowed to say what I want, I'm probably going to not make friends. right? If I am required to be on a script, I will derail from that script so many times. Yeah, raise
Yeah.
your hand. That's you. Yeah.
Danielle,
Our friends.
Danielle, your mute button is on, so I can't hear you. Did
Oh,
you
I didn't
tell
say
it?
anything.
She
I
was
just
There
raised
we
raising
my
go.
her
hand.
hand. Yeah.
Now I can hear you.
But
Okay.
that's the other thing is, if they call them leadership skills, right? I say I don't like to follow directions, but the truth is it's not necessarily about cutting corners. It's about getting to the chase. I don't like to waste time. So it's not necessarily not following directions. I would never thrive in a script environment. However, I definitely give all due respect to those because there are people who just don't know what to say. They don't know
Mm-mm.
what to say, right?
Right.
The principal and my mom were on a first name basis. I'm just a chatterbox. I can talk for hours. But there are some people who don't have those skill sets and they need scripts. They need it. So, I mean, it just depends on who you are, where you're at. There's so many variables. It's just
Okay.
an option.
Okay. So what is the difference between like a gal that I went back to and I don't know what's going on over there. It's an office that's close to me, which
Okay.
is why I'm prospecting. I mean, it's like 6 minutes out of my driveway.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
convenient. Yeah.
I know. Okay. So I went there and there's a little bit of widening of the road construction. And at first I thought, well, why did the big company A sign come down? And when I went up to the door to, put my name and number, I passed my test on a little note, whatever. I
Mhm.
read that or he, whoever is an independent in that office. So I guess, opening that door, it's a brand new strip center and that space, they
Okay.
have dropped company A name and now they are independent. So tell
Okay.
me what the difference is.
A name. I mean,
It,
it's what you're offering. It's like the difference between selling chicken sandwiches and burgers. I mean,
really, that's it.
really. I mean, that's the thing is there are so many insurance companies out there that you can sell. Like if I decided that I wanted to sign up and sell only, let's do something ridiculous. Microphone insurance. I am
Okay.
now offering you microphone insurance. If your microphone gets damaged, chip, cracks, breaks, let's say your microphone starts having static here, this is microphone insurance, Jennifer, and we're going to sell it. Now, the company that is going to protect your microphone, we're going to call this BOM microphone insurance. It's the BOM, right? But let's say all of a sudden BOM microphone insurance goes out of business. Let's say BOM microphone insurance didn't underwrite their policies correctly and there were too many claims. Maybe BOM microphone insurance wasn't careful enough to be able to say, we'll cover this brand, but this brand is not good. So
Yeah.
if BOM microphone insurance goes out of business or they didn't pay out their claims or they didn't do their job or for whatever reason it might be, Agent Mary is going to say, I don't want to work with BOM insurance anymore. But there are other companies that will protect your microphone, Jennifer. So here's what I'm going to do for you. As you come upon renewal for your BOM microphone insurance, we're going to switch you over to Sounds insurance. This is all off the top of my head. Okay. But Sounds insurance. Not only am I going to save you money on your premium, we're going to save you some money on your premium, but Sounds insurance will also cover the cord.
Okay.
It's
That
a
is
mechanical
cool.
breakdown. Does that, I mean,
Yeah.
is that a good way to kind of illustrate the different kinds of companies, right, that you can utilize may all sell the same kinds of insurance? It's all about the quality. Their premiums are going to be different. The agents' offices that they work out are all going to be different. And on a very foundational level, insurance is insurance is insurance. It's the company that protects it. And actually, I was just going for this. You're going to love it. There it is. Where did it go? Oh no. Well, I'll have to get we're going to take a break here in a minute anyway. So I'm going to zip it. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back in like 10 minutes and we are going to talk about that. Exactly. Your insurance is only as good as the company you keep. So that is actually on the list. So let's take a 10
Okay.
and we'll be back soon, okay?
10 minutes. Got it.
Got it. Okay.